Hello, friends. Welcome, Salem Mason Happy Home, and I'm happy to be here with you today. Oh, Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, and it's a cold, dark, rainy day here in southern Minnesota. And of course, rain is always welcome and it will help fill up our pond. So I'm kind of excited about that. I wanted to do a little bit of a true and false with you today. There are 4 points of true and false that I wanted to talk about. And I heard some things over the weekend, different things that brought me to want to talk to you, my loyal listener, about this. And we're going to start with AOC. Now, I listened to, she was being interviewed on stage with Bernie Sanders during an event this past week. And one of the things that she said was, of course, that infamous gaffe where everybody insists that she was saying that we need drinkable air. Well, what she was trying to say was drinkable water and breathable air, and she got her words mixed up. We all do it, especially in the height of a stressful situation. People get their words jumbled up, and that's what that was. It was nothing big. But when she said that we needed drinkable water and breathable air, I stepped back for a second because I do know about the air quality. I mean, even as far back as when I was a child in the 70s, the evening news would always run smog alert reports on Los Angeles, and they would show pictures, filming. Reporters were filming, and it was like soup hanging in the air. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. It was so bad, and people were told to stay indoors and whatnot. And the alarming rapid rise of allergies in the United States also is indicative of air quality. The chem lines that we see, cloud seeding, all of these different crazy things that are going on in the air around us, and we all have air alert quality alerts on our phones now. So she's absolutely right. There is something going on here. It is making us all sick, and we need to do something about it to stop it, because this is just another feed the pharmaceutical pig by having to have drugs to survive every day, because you can't go outside without a mask, or you can't go outside with without your allergy pills and stuff, and it's really causing a great deal of crisis. The water quality, though, that's the one that set me back, and I'm like, well, it's AOC. She's a dipshit. What is she talking about? And she is a dipshit, but she's absolutely 100% right. And I didn't believe her at first till I stepped back and I researched it. There are actually, because I'm thinking water quality, this is the United States of America. Everybody's got running water and flushing toilets and blah, blah, blah. Apparently not. And we're not talking about crack houses, flop houses, or homeless encampments under bridges. Those are not legitimate, solid, permanent communities that qualify. Of course, they do need clean running, water, but they have to get it elsewhere because, like shelters and gas stations and whatnot. But apparently, we still do in 2025 in the United States of America have water quality issues all over the U.S. Santee, Nebraska, Jackson, Mississippi. We all remember that crisis from years ago of Flint, Michigan. We have extremely high levels of manganese in our water, among other things, lead, fluoride, etc., that are making people very, very sick. But when she was talking about this, she was talking about actual legit plumbing, running water, clean, drinkable running water, and plumbing. And when I researched it, I was absolutely shocked. The Santee, Nebraska, and Jackson, Mississippi, for two, don't have clean running water or adequate plumbing. What the fuck? The Navajo Nation, which spans 3 states, Utah, New Mexico, and Arizona. Shame on all 3 of you states and your governors. Because the Navajo people, probably the oldest people ever in our land, that spans 3 states, and they don't even have wells, they don't have toilets, they don't have drinkable water. Are you freaking kidding me? Inexcusable. 46,000 people right now at this moment in San Francisco do not have adequate plumbing or clean running water. 64% in New York City do not have adequate plumbing or clean running water. Boom. I was completely unaware, completely ignorant that we had this crisis going on in our United States. This is inexcusable. This is not tolerable. So, true or false? True. Air quality is a serious problem. We already know that. And water availability and water quality in the United States. There is a problem here. And AOC was correct. True or false? So AOC was truthful in what she was saying. I also listened to Senator Rand Paul, who was being interviewed regarding the boats that are being blown up in international waters. Well, he was trying to cause trouble and infer that Pete Hegseth was blowing up, innocent families on a Sunday, rowing through the water, having a picnic and stuff, and devout fishermen, just simple fishermen out trying to earn a living. And that's absolutely 1,000% false. First of all, the location, international waters, and how deep into the ocean that they were. This is not simple fishermen or families on vacation. Also, the CIA is feeding the intel to the Pentagon and to Pete Hegseth, and they are verifying, because they know that Maduro is sending these boats. They know what boats they're sending, where they're sending them, the routes, what's on the boats, who's on the boats. They've got all of that intel before they start blowing them up. And international waters, you might get into a little bit of a heat there, but Trump had, he's always got a way around stuff. So these drug runners on the water, they also are high seas pirates. We've been hearing for decades that they come on board and they take they murder people and throw them overboard and take their yachts and hijack their yachts so that they can just like somebody running from the law, they'll carjack a car and they'll take it so far and then they'll get out of it and they'll carjack another one and so on, just to keep the law enforcement from finding them, because they're going to be looking for a white car, but they've already ditched that and gone onto a red one or something. It's the same thing with the boats. They're doing the same thing. They're going to start out with a boat, but then they might go into a submersible, or they might pirate somebody's yacht and take that, or whatever. So all of these variables are in place to verify who's getting blown up. And also the debris fields from these boats do have lots and lots and lots of taped up packages of drugs, fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, opioids, the whole nine. Okay, they're all coming in here, and they're finding this in the debris fields. That's why during the press events with Homeland Security and the DOJ and Pete Hegseth, they've got these tables and tables full of all of these drugs that they recovered from these explosions, debris fields. So Rand Paul, true or false, he's blowing up innocent fishermen? False. He's not. The next thing I wanted to talk about, true or false, was the No Kings rally. So we've all been hearing every other person is putting out a meme online saying, kings are anointed and presidents are elected, and Trump is president and he was elected, and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's fact. Okay. The number of people that attended the rallies, for some reason, the stats started out at around 7 million, but now it's dwindling. I mean, they've actually been reducing that number. And something noticeable was the lack of people of color. There was not a lot of people of color, but what they did find out, journalists, when they were spanning the crowds and stuff, was that there was a lot of people of specific age groups that were white people. And we also know, it because he's actually admitted it, and he's more than fine with it, is that the George Soros foundations are funding these rallies, and they funded the No Kings rallies. They gave them signs, they gave them water, they provided them instructions. It's just like when a philanthropist sponsors a 5K run or something like that. That's exactly what this was. It was a sponsorship, just like a 5K run or something. So we can't take this seriously. Was this a legitimate rally of suffering Americans who are starving in the streets? No. It was this rallies made up of Americans who were begging the Democratic Party to save them from the big, bad, mean Trump? No. So, true or false, the No Kings rallies, effective? False. Were they legitimate people with legitimate concerns? False. And lastly, Trump made some comments over the weekend during an interview where someone was talking to him about ending the war in Israel. And he touted that he is a president that has ended 8 wars. Well, you can't count Israel. If he's counting Israel in there, you can't count that, because they're still blowing each other up. Just the other day, Hamas took a bunch of innocent Palestinians for no frickin' reason at all, brought them to the border and gunned them down and assassinated them for fun. This war is not over. The ceasefire is not foolproof. And he went, so you can't count that. And he brokered deals that created peace in those regions. But he furthered his comment, and he should have not, but he furthered the comment in saying, I don't think that there's even a president that's ever done this, and I don't think there's a president that's ever even, ended 1 war, let alone 8. Well, that is a complete and total falsehood. I'm sorry, Trump, I love you, but guess what? Truman ended World War II by dropping the A-bomb on Hiroshima. Lincoln ended the Civil War by freeing the slaves and adding laws and amendments to our Constitution, giving them their freedoms and mandating it by the people that elected him. Richard Nixon is credited with ending the Vietnam War and pulling us out of there by multiple treaties through multiple different factors and different regions of Vietnam. And he also got us out of some European bullshit with the Paris Peace Accords. And France was involved, heavily involved. They actually started the mess in Vietnam. So Nixon, he did a great thing for us on many fronts in Vietnam and in Europe. And he effectively ended Vietnam for us. And of course, our founding father, George Washington, is credited with ending the Revolutionary War. And yeah, he technically wasn't called a president at the time. He hadn't been officially elected, but he was the leader of the Republicans, the Federalists, or whatever they were called at the time. And he is the one that ended that war. So true or false that Trump is the only president that has ended 8 wars and the only one that has ever ended a war? That is absolutely false. So the point of this true or false is you have to listen to all sides. It's hard to listen to AOC and Bernie Sanders because I know they're just so full of shit. But, Trump is full of shit too. Trump is a stand-up comedian. He's a showman. He's obnoxious, but he's our president. I love him. I love everything that he's doing. And I know that it's hard for people to understand because we have been raised hundreds of years of presidents that are sleazy, slimy, backroom dealers who steal from the American people, who have embedded dishonesty from birth into every human being that they can't be trusted. And here we have a guy who's in your face, who's there all the time, and says what's on the top of his mind, and does what he promised he would do. And we're not used to that. And that's why he's scaring a lot of people. But the point is you still have to temper your feelings and opinions about one politician by listening to the other side, because there may be some nuggets of truth there. And there may also be some important issues that are being overlooked. And I do believe that we're overlooking the water crisis in our nation. So I appreciate that at least AOC's out there, you know, stumping for clean water and clean air. Somebody has to. But I fear that people are going to fall into these divisive levels of information where you're only going to listen to certain newscasts, you're only going to listen to certain political pundit programs or podcasts. You're not going to believe one side over another. You're going to get up and turn the channel or get up and leave the room or whatever if you see, CNN come on and you don't think that they're credible. And I think it's important to step back and realize that if you want the facts, you need to listen to all sides, because there is going to be some truth there. There are going to be some valid points. Do I like AOC? Absolutely not. She is a communist wannabe. Do I like Bernie Sanders? Of course not. He's a hypocrite, like Kami Mamdani. These are known card-carrying communists. They want to take your rights away. They want the government to control everything that you do and how you do it. Look up the definition of communism. Look up the day-to-day life of people living under communist rule. And then apply that to what you're hearing the communists on the Democratic side regurgitate every day. When they tell you they're communists, when they tell you they're Democrats, they're not. They're communists. Socialism, Marxism, and communism are all the same. They are the same thing. So you have to listen to both sides. Because if you only listen to one side, you are going to get burned, and burned bad. So, true or false? AOC was telling the truth. Trump was not telling the truth. Rand Paul was not telling the truth. And everybody reporting on the No Kings rally or the I Hate America rallies, they're a little bit of truth, a little bit of falsehood there. So do your homework, do your research, and give credit where credit is due. And don't be afraid to agree with someone that you can't stand, because if they're right, they're right, and that's how we debate. That's how we figure out the facts. That's how we move forward. It's by listening to those that we disagree with to get a better understanding of the world around us. Because if we isolate ourselves to one side of any topic, we will be in a lot of trouble down the road. You will have been living a lie, a falsehood. You won't be living truth. And until next time, do good and be good.